This is the 91st minute. All right, we are going to grade Premier League clubs transfers from the just ended transfer window. I'm going to read out notable transfers in and out, and we're going to discuss it, and we're going to rank them. S will be the highest, and then just typical school grading A through F. So yeah, we're going to start alphabetically with Arsenal. Big ins, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Jurrien Timber, David Raya. Yeah, those are the big ins. Out, Xhaka leaves, Balogun leaves, Kieran Tierney on loan, Nicolas Pepe gone. That gives us less banter ability, but where are you guys putting Arsenal's window?
And so we got to remember that this is like with imagining Jurrien Timber didn't get injured, etc.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
It's just
for
on
me,
the signings, right? It's on what we think of the signings and the outs rather than how they've done.
Right.
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
So-
Milo's, resident Arsenal fan, right? We'll start with you.
yeah, and I mean, I think I said to you guys about 3/4 of the way through the summer that I was very happy with the business they'd done up to that point, but I needed a couple of extra pieces to make it a 10 or an A. So I'm not going to go an A, but I do think, all points and games aside so far and injuries, I'd give it a B. I was very happy with that window. I'd like to have seen, if in a perfect world, I'd love to have seen another strong forward come in as an option, but yeah, I'd give it a B.
I don't think I can really argue. I still think Havertz, when he signed, even not taking into the games into account, was an odd one. No one saw it coming. I don't think it was a bit out of the blue, but I feel like everything else Arsenal have done have sort of made up for it. I think you paid a lot of money for Declan Rice, but he's a very good footballer. So
I think
B,
high B is good for me too. I think that's good.
Okay. Yep, I don't disagree. All right, we've got Aston Villa up next. Notable incoming, Moussa Diaby from Leverkusen, Pau Torres, Nicolo Zaniolo, Yuri Tielemans, Clement Lenglet on loan. Notable outs, really only Cameron Archer out to Sheffield United, so we can talk about him later. But yeah, that was not a lot of business from Villa. Yeah, where do you put them?
Has Zaniolo played? Has he played for them yet? I don't think so.
not yet.
I don't think he has.
Okay.
I think Villa, I'm leaning towards like A. I think they've had a really good, their good business completely outweighs the bad. Like Pau Torres, great centre back, really good job. Tielemans he's not going to play every game because he's going to be knackered by the time he's like 29, 30. But experience is what you need in there. They've recruited well in the Archer deal. They sold him for 12 million with a fee that if Sheffield United get relegated, they can buy him back for 12 million. So they're giving him Premier League,
That's a
year
great
of Premier
deal.
League loan experience, buy him back for the same price. So my opinion is Villa have had a really good window up in A. I think everyone they've bought suits on Unai Emery's tactics.
Yeah.
He knows what he wants to do, and he's been backed by the board to go and get them. So I would say A, but open for debate, obviously.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
I forgot to mention. Sorry, Coutinho out on loan as well. He was decent last year for them.
Out
I
on
think,
loan? Where'd
Yeah,
he
he's
go?
gone to Qatar, somewhere in Qatar.
Qatar.
Oh.
Al Duhail.
Oh.
Yeah.
so. For me, I'd say a B to a B plus, maybe a B plus for Villa. I mean, they got what they needed, didn't give up much. Obviously we're not grading it on what's happened so far. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean it's been a rough start. They had an injury, a key injury early as well, right?
Yeah, Tyrone Mings got
Yeah.
Yeah.
So B. I'll go B plus. I'll go for a B plus for them.
Yeah, I think they're slightly ahead of Arsenal here. I think Moussa Diaby is a massive one. He could have gone to a top 6 club or top 4 club even. So for that, I think that edges them in front of Arsenal, but I don't know if it's A or B. I'm somewhere in between. I could go A, but B's fine too.
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
like.
to think. Sorry, Huff, go on. Go on.
That's all right. I like Diaby. I like that signing a lot. Not wild about the Longley signing. If I hadn't watched him last year at Spurs, I would probably be more about it. But yeah, but Tielemans, he's already like just yesterday or the day before was complaining about not getting playing time over McGinn and Louise. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. But he was on a free, so yeah. And I think Zaniolo will contribute. And Torres is really good. I think high B is. Yeah. I'm sort between that A minus B plus spot.
Yeah, I'm sort of discounting the Longley one because they only got him in because Tyrone Mings was injured.
That's true. Yeah.
Like it was a we need cover at centre back.
Yeah.
He's not going to play many games for them, I don't think. But I was also trying to think for the teams that we've got still to do. Who would I rate as having a similar window to Aston Villa?
Okay.
In my mind, that's how I'm trying to think of it. Like,
okay.
We could shift them as we go.
We can move them around.
We can. The max is what, eight per B. So we
can do 8 per row.
Yeah. So
right. Okay.
We'll have to move it around if we get too many Bs. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Bournemouth. Notable incomings. Tyler Adams. Junior Traore, Alex Scott, Romain Favre, Justin Kluivert, Max Aarons, lots of good names here. Sinistera on loan from Leeds, Radu on loan from Inter. Outgoings, Lerma on a free, Ben Pearson. That's that's really it for outgoings.
Gary O'Neill.
Gary O'Neill, that's a good one.
The manager change as well.
How do you rate Bournemouth window?
I think given that list, because I've not sought out Bournemouth's ingoings and outgoings, right? So you reading that to me, like when you hear it like that, I think that's a pretty good window for them. I'd probably give that a B as well.
I'm gonna give it a C.
I'm with Cart. I think a C. I think they've bought in depth, which is what they needed, but there's no. Kluivert came off the back of a bad spell at Roma, I think.
Yeah,
he
didn't
did,
really light it up.
Yeah.
Max Aarons has come from another relegation from Norwich. I don't think he's all the answers they need at right back. And they didn't really sell anyone. They've lost Lerma to a Premier League rival, so
yeah. I mean that is a miss, and I think they could be in trouble this season. But I still think if you look at what they've done, I don't know. We'll see if it works out for them. Obviously, as the season goes on, but I'd probably give it a B for Bournemouth. I think.
I really like. I think Alex Scott is going to be playing in the Premier League for a long time. I think that was a really good signing.
Yeah.
Tyler Adams, I don't know how much he helps them. If he's like the Lerma replacement. I know he's not the exact same player, but they kind of occupy the same spaces. I don't know. I feel like
manager swinging this at all. Do we think Gary O'Neill to the new guys an upgrade? Or do we think they should have stuck with Gary O'Neill? Does that change it from a C to a B, or keep it as a C? Or
I like Gary O'Neill. I think, I didn't think about that. I have him as like a high C, low B, probably. Most likely a high C.
Let's give him a
throw
C.
in C for now, but
I'll go B. I'll stay with the B, but let's call it a B minus.
okay.
We'll put
right.
him there for now.
School grading. I always go to the minus.
All right, Brentford next up. They brought in Nathan Collins from Wolves, Kevin Schade from Freiburg, Mark Flecken from Freiburg, Neil Mopai from Everton on loan, and outgoings, David Raya on loan. That's really about it. Pontus Janssen left on a free. He had been there for a while.
They also signed Romeo Beckham.
Oh,
Yes, they did.
Big marketing move there.
yeah.
You know?
I don't think it's going to help. Have you been to Brentford?
The United's number 7 shirt is ready for him.
Better bloody not be.
Imagine. I mean, obviously, how old is he now?
I don't know. Like 20. Something.
He's yeah. So he's not like a kid anymore, right?
I think
'cause
he's
I have no
18 or
idea
19 or
genuinely.
20, something like that. Yeah.
God.
I could look it up.
So he's going to be a journeyman version of Beckham, basically. Does he even? Where does he play? Position?
Right wing.
It's
Oh, he
21.
does.
21.
I'll
I'm gonna go. I'll go with the minus C minus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan
I think
of Mopai.
Flecken's a really good goalkeeper. Like statistically, he's one of the best keepers in the Bundesliga last year, but they lost Tony for half of the season, and they only really brought in Neil Mopai. So
Yeah, which is such a downgrade.
Yeah.
Awful.
yeah,
They're
for
Moneyball,
me,
right?
Brentford's
Moneyball.
a C because
yeah,
it's a C because for me their best player they've signed this summer is Kevin Shard, who was on loan at them last year. So they've not actually upgraded
right,
the squad in the transfer window. They've just made
right,
whoever's
Made
their
it
best
permanent.
signing this year is they've made it permanent. Yeah.
yeah.
What's it called? What's his name?
I'm going to go D. Do you want to throw that in?
Ooh,
Are you
D.
tracking these?
Schade. Doesn't
Yeah.
that mean shit
Schade.
in German?
No,
Shit?
Scheiße.
That's
Oh,
Scheiße.
Scheiße. What does Schade mean? Okay.
Oh, also, before we carry on, Half, we should take a moment to ask that you please hit that subscribe button on YouTube
Yes.
for us, guys. Please do.
Please. It's free.
Yes.
It's free.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing. Costs you
$3.99.
I know if you're a Brentford fan, you probably won't now after I gave them a D, but consider it anyway.
nothing. Okay.
Yes.
Moving on.
All right. Moving on to Brighton. Notable incomings: Joao Pedro, Carlos Balaba, young kid from Lille, Mohamed Dahoud on a free, James Milner on a free, Ansu Fati on loan. Yep, we'll talk about that. Outgoings: Moises Caicedo to Chelsea, Alexis McAllister to Liverpool, Robert Sanchez to Chelsea, Dennis Undav to Stuttgart. Yeah, a lot of big outgoings, money wise.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot of players too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and for me, their window, it either cancels it out, so it's a C, or it's slightly negative because they've got rid of.
Really?
I'm gonna
Why?
go with A or S.
I'm going A. I'm going A or S.
Yeah, but you didn't let me finish.
Oh,
As to
sorry.
why. So my reasoning being, the players, when you know what you've got in certain players, and obviously you couldn't stop McAllister going to Liverpool, and Casido's a mess, and I kind of agree they did the right thing there, because I think Casido might be more trouble than he's worth, just because his head was turned in January. You can blame Arsenal if you want for that, but it was his head was turned in January.
yep,
I think he begrudgingly went back there with his tail between his legs, still played pretty well, and now obviously he's, we're not going to judge him on what he's done at Chelsea for this conversation in particular, but I just think you're bringing in a lot of players. There's some risk involved, and that's why I'd say a C, because it's the risk factor. It could work out brilliantly, but it might not, just with the players that went out. I understand people that think it's really good, but I mean, we'll have to see. If you ask me this question again in January, it'd be interesting to see if I have the same answer or not.
yeah.
I think I'm trying to judge it as if I was Brighton, and I think getting that amount of money for those players is insane.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculously good transfer business.
That's
and
true.
they've kept De Zerbi, and you know that they've scouted replacements and had them lined up for all these players when they leave. Like I think for me it's an A, that just because of the money they got for the transfers and how well how well Brighton are going to do to replace them. Like they've lost
That is a
big player
fair
before.
shout. That is
Yeah, I
I think
very
they could have
fair
done with a
shout.
striker. They could have done with a new striker, but even Evan Ferguson's is stepping up now, isn't he? So
Yep.
True.
Yeah, I'd say A. So far, definitely the best of the bunch so far, and just looking ahead, I can't. Maybe there will be someone else that pops up, but definitely A. If there's another team, then if there's not another team, then they would be S for me. Right? If there's not another team that's better.
I like the risk of Fati because if it works, they're all going to look like geniuses.
yeah,
If it doesn't, he goes back to Barcelona at the end of the season. I mean, he's going to go back either way, but yeah, I like that, and I think Mo Dahoud's really good. I like him at central midfield. So I would agree with an A creeping toward an S. Yeah, and like you guys said, getting the money for Caicedo, McAllister, Sanchez. I think that's great.
It might
Great business.
backfire in their face, but yeah, the business they've done so far is ridiculous. The only one I think is questionable is James Milner, but then experience
He
is
came in
always
for
good.
free.
If you've told him you're going to sign for us and not play and it's a free, then
Right.
yeah.
I think they have like a negative 100 million net spend for this summer. So
See, I didn't even.
They
I didn't
made 89 million euros.
I didn't
okay.
even equate the finances in. When I was thinking about it, I was thinking about it purely from a player standpoint. So if we're equating that in as well, then I'd like to bump it to a B for me. I'm not going to jump to A. S, by the way, did you have that in American schools? Because we didn't have that in England.
No, what is
no,
that?
it's
What is
just a
this
tier
S
list thing.
bollocks?
It's not. It's not in
this
school.
Tier list thing.
All right,
Is it like
S is
super?
not in this. You can do A plus.
S is supposed to be like best of the best.
Do A plus. That's what you get in school, isn't it?
I mean,
So can we recalibrate?
no,
that? If
no,
no one goes
S.
above Brighton,
No,
they
it has
go
to
up
be
into
S, guys. This is a tier list thing. This is not our thing. This is
Okay, it has to be S.
yeah, it's
Has to be
S. S tier is like a phrase in internet language.
Okay.
S tier. S tier.
I'll remember to tag that in the tags.
S tier. It's like when you're saying someone's the best, you're like, oh, he's S tier. This is on the internet.
Never said that in my life.
Oh, I know, but it's an internet thing. It's not a real life thing.
I'm on the internet.
Milo's like when they're the
We're
best,
on the
they're
internet right
S
now.
tier.
Yeah, we're on the internet
Yeah.
right now.
True.
Exactly.
We could rewrite the internet right now.
Burnley, go on.
All right, Burnley. We've got Aaron Ramsey, not that one, the other one. Incoming Sander Berge. James Trafford, young goalkeeper for Man City. Zeki Amdouni, hope I said that right, from Basel, coming in. Outgoing Wout Weghorst went to Hoffenheim. Ashley Barnes went to Norwich on a free. Matthew Lowton is without a club. So yeah, that's not a ton of business by Burnley, but I think, yeah, what do you think? There we go.
D.
D. It's a bit meh, isn't it? It's a bit.
I don't think. Yeah, they spent a bunch. I don't think. I think it's D tier. There's no big names that feel like they're gonna be okay. Now we're Premier League prepared.
That's my fault. I left Nathan Redmond out. Does that change your?
He's up there in age, right?
He is 29
now. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's only 29. Bloody
29,
hell.
okay.
32.
So maybe, I mean that's 19
His hair
million
was
for
like 29.
for James Trafford seems a little excessive.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I think they've done well in getting rid of 2 players, or 3 players they didn't need. If Lowton doesn't have a club, they got rid of him. And Weghorst, fine, get rid of him. Barnes was never at the level of the Premier League anymore. That's good.
Yeah.
But I think the ins are just lack anything like, oh my God, wow. Burnley managed to spend some Premier League money. But
I'm also throwing D up
seeing-
there for visual.
I think getting Berga in is off of a newly promoted team is good. I don't know how well he performed in the championship last year. But before he went to Sheffield, I know he was the talk of all of Premier League clubs, like, oh, maybe we're gonna get Sander Berga. And he ended up going to Sheffield United when they were previously up. But other than that, I'm not that impressed with their window.
B-, D+. Yeah.
C-. I'll go C- for that. It's not good or bad, really, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
The amount they paid for Trafford is too much for someone who's never played in the Premier League.
Yeah,
it is, but he's a highly touted youngster that other teams wanted as well, right? He was linked with quite a few teams.
How much did Southampton pay for Bazunu?
Not very much, like a couple of million.
Okay. I was trying to equate it to that, but yeah, they paid 17 million for Trafford. No. Okay. All right, here we go. We're gonna have some fun with this one. Chelsea FC. Incomings: Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, Christopher Nkunku, Cole Palmer, Axel Disasi, Nicholas Jackson, Robert Sanchez, Jordi Petrovic for New England Revolution fans. Malang Sarr, Levi Colwill was promoted. He's on the incoming transfer list, so I'm going to include him. Outgoings: Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, Kalidou Koulibaly, Pulisic, Edward Mendy, Loftus-Cheek, Lukaku out on loan, Hudson-Odoi to Forest, Kepa out on loan, Azpilicueta on a free, Aubameyang on a free, Kante on a free, Ziyech out on loan, João Felix returned to Atletico, Zakaria back to Juventus. That's most of them. There's still some, but that's a lot, but that's most of them.
Who wants to go first? Bloody hell. Yeah.
This is a tricky one for me.
They made a lot of money, and they spent a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah, highest net spend of the summer for me, I think.
I mean, obviously getting rid of Havertz pushes it towards an A. No, I'm just kidding. We all know why I say that. It's fine. I don't know, man. I mean, the players that they've bought in, the question is there a plan? The Cole Palmer deal, I don't like at all. I think that's a lot of money for him.
Yeah.
Given what we know of him, we talked about that a little bit on last week's show in the deadline day segment. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I gotta get you guys back.
Froze.
Snippety snip snip. Let us know when you're good.
Should be good. Yep, we're good.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, the Jackson
and
deal.
We're gone.
And we're gone.
Now we're back.
And
I don't
snip.
know why it's up. We're good. We're good. All right.
Technical glitches. The gremlin.
Bowley's hacked my computer.
Maybe he didn't like it when you said highest net spend.
Yeah.
It set off some sort of alarm in Chelsea headquarters. But it's just, what's the plan? Like Caicedo coming in as well, and like it's just, what is the plan? What is there? And I don't think, I know we don't want to bring the game so far into it, so it's difficult not to, isn't it, when you've seen their results?
Yeah.
But like, given the spending, it's just, it's a real tough one. On paper, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm thinking nice, but at the same time, I'm also thinking, is it though?
The saving grace for their window, right, is that they've got rid of a lot of players they clearly didn't want anymore. They've not sold anyone they wanted to keep. There's no one that's forced to move or anything like that. They've got rid of a lot of people, a lot of deadwood, as people call it, and they've bought in pretty much all youngsters, which is going to set them up for the future. But as you said, Milo, it's very hard to judge the Chelsea window knowing how they have started this season. Like, it's not.
having these young great players is one thing. But fitting them all in and ensuring not all those players will develop into butterflies, if you will.
Yeah.
From caterpillars. Do you know what I mean? Because they won't get the playing time. And we know just the Carabao Cup won't do it. And some of those players there that won't get minutes probably would be starting in other Premier League teams. So and that's their fault for going there. They signed the contract. But
I mean, chat are saying F tier. We've got 2 people saying Chelsea and F.
No way.
I think they've cleared too much deadwood to put F.
Exactly.
I think
The amount of
Before the Saudi stuff, F, 100%.
yeah,
But Boli
I agree.
pulled out the Saudi stuff out of nowhere, and that immediately should that should qualify
Out
him
of
for a lot of
nowhere.
apologies.
out of nowhere. Can you do
Right.
nowhere in
Right. But they got Caicedo, they got Enzo. I mean, that's albeit last winter, but they got recently they got Lavia, they got Sanchez, they got Nkuku. Nicholas Jackson doesn't look that great. I'd give him like a C-. I feel like they didn't quite like get their head above water, but they definitely are not as bad as everyone thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
But I disagree with Mordecai in chat, right? His comment is 500 million spent and they're arguably worse than last year. I don't think they are worse than last year. I think they're similar. The squad as a whole is similar. They still don't have a striker. And they've got Pochettino. Indicate Jackson's there, but it's tough. It's tough. I'd just bog standard C, I think.
I think it's C, and on paper a B-. On paper it's a B-, but in reality it's C.
I'd put him at the end of C. Hoff, where would you put him?
I think low C probably. I'm trying to do like mental gymnastics with the Palmer thing, because I forgot that Kovacic went there, obviously. So I was trying to think of it as Kovacic and cash for Palmer, but I still wouldn't make that deal. I like Kovacic. I think he's really good. And strengthening your rivals, I guess you could argue if Mount and Havertz are strengthening rivals at the moment, but on paper they should be.
I mean, they are if those teams are looking for that specific player.
Yeah.
And then if those specific players work in the system that they're being asked to play in. So again, but I totally hear what you're saying.
I don't know how many of the players they brought in are Pochettino approved players, like guys that he actually wanted, and how many are like they're all 25. Sanchez, Disasi, and Nkunku are 25. Those are the 3 oldest guys. And I feel like Boli can say, "Oh, we backed Pochettino." I don't know how backed Pochettino feels, though, if that makes sense. But I got him low C. That's where
Better
I have
or
him.
worse than Brentford?
Ooh. I
By the way-
think because of I mean they finished below Brentford last year, right? And they're pretty much in the same spot, like Cultured said. So I would have
done
them.
the same, haven't they? Neither have strengthened. It's just
Yeah, they're
the squad
both
is
like
still similar.
status quo,
Yeah.
even though they dropped almost 500 million or some ridiculous number. I don't
It's
know.
like you said, Carl.
That's a
if they
lot
hadn't
of
have
money
had-
to not have a wow to it.
Yeah. If they hadn't have got that Saudi money, it would be an F. But they did, and they got rid of loads of deadwood, and that pushes them up quite high. But low C. I think where they are for me.
Okay.
Bottom of the C.
Are we still on Chelsea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta move it along.
This segment's going to take us till about midnight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chelsea,
Tier
C.
lists. Yeah.
C.
Whatever. It takes a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, thankfully, Crystal Palace is next, and they have looks like 12 total in and out. They got Dean Henderson in, Rob Holding in, Jefferson Lerma on a free, and Guaita out, Wilfred Zaha out, Jack Butlin out on a free, Luka Milivojevic out on a free, James MacArthur retired. Where do you have Palace?
I got him front of D.
Front of D. Okay. I will throw them in there while we discuss.
I've got them front of C or last in B.
All right.
Ooh.
I think, again, they cleared out a lot of players that they didn't bother giving new contracts to, which is fine. I think Zaha isn't as much of a miss as people think because they kept Elise and held him off from Chelsea, got him on a new contract. Dean Henderson is a very good goalkeeper. He'll do really well for Palace. I
Held
think
on
it's more
to,
positive than negative.
Yeah, holding on to Elise is big, I think.
Yeah, that's huge, holding on to Elise. They could have done with a striker, but
Yeah.
you know, most clubs could have done with
It
a
seems like
striker.
Edward's playing a little differently as well.
Matete and
yeah.
Edward, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So
I would agree with the low B.
I forgot about
I
Elise.
think they've
Yeah,
had-
I might bump him up.
I think they've had a better transfer window than Chelsea, for example. So, and Bournemouth. I think they've had a better transfer window than everyone in that C column.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'll
just-
go high C.
Alrighty.
All right. High C for Palace. Everton up next.
Ooh.
Not a lot here. Beto in from Udinese, Kirmiti from Sporting, Danjuma on loan from Villarreal, Ashley Young in on a free, Jack Harrison in on loan, Moise Keane to Juventus going out, Iwobi to Fulham, Damari Gray to Al Ettifaq, and
We bleep that. Oh, that's all
Where do
we
you
can
have
talk about.
Everton?
Jordan. I have Everton. Nice F.
I had them as an F, but they managed to get money for Iwobi, so I bumped them to a D. Because to get money for Alex Iwobi, to actually get someone to buy him off you is impressive. So,
And Wobie
and they
is
got
not
rid of
that
Neil
bad.
Mopay.
I think you've been
They
a
got
bit
rid of
harsh
Neil
on
Mopay.
That's true.
Yeah, I know I am being harsh on Iwobi. He's not that bad.
I will give them a high F.
I'm happy if they go in F, by the way. I am happy if
Yeah.
they go in F. So
I think I thought Iwobi was one of their better players
He was.
last couple years when they almost got relegated, and I thought it was kind of weird that they sold him.
He's
that's the problem, right?
and
Yeah.
that's it. When
Yeah.
you look at when you look at their window, like they haven't, and they just with the players that have gone and the players that have come in, and given the fact that they were fighting for survival last season, they haven't, in my opinion, they haven't addressed that. Like I don't see them as being strengthened. I see them as being the same level, or maybe I don't know. I don't want to say worse because anything can happen, I suppose. But yeah, I just don't think they've strengthened. So for me, it's not a successful window, even if they've made a little bit of money on it.
Sean
Danjuma's
Dyke special
better than Gray,
coming.
but maybe. Danjuma's better than Gray, but Beto, no one really knows what he's going to be like. He looked decent in his first game, but that was against Sheffield United, so yeah, happy with F.
Oops. There we go. Okay. Fulham. We just mentioned Alex Iwobi incoming, Calvin Bassey from Ajax, Timothy Castagna from Leicester, Raul Jimenez from Wolves, Adama Traore on a free. Let's see, outgoings, Mitrovic gone. He's the only player that they got money for that was outgoing. Everyone else left on a free. Gazaniga, Knockert, and Babu on a loan. They lost Manor Solomon. Well, he wasn't under contract. That's not fair to them. I'm not including Manor Solomon. Yeah, where do you have Fulham?
Nearly lost Paulinho. They'll probably lose him in January as well.
Yeah.
Which is that would have been big. That would have been a big one.
Yeah.
I wonder who they'll bring in his place. I'll
That's
give
their
them
only
like
saving grace.
front of D. I'd say front of D for me.
Front of D?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mitrovic to Jimenez is such a downgrade. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not good.
It's not, yeah, it's.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, you're probably right, but I could put them at the bottom of C.
Yeah, they made good money off Mitrovic, right? So that's also that's
Yeah,
there.
52, almost 53 million euros.
Yeah. That's that's. But I don't know if they did enough to strengthen. And didn't Calvin Bassey, it was against Arsenal, he had like a couple howlers or something, or he conceded the penalty.
We're not including those performances
Yeah, don't
in
include
the
again.
discussion.
Oh, okay, but I mean, we didn't. Did you guys know much about Bassey before that game?
No.
Okay. It's 18. Yeah, I think it's like 20 million for him. So.
I'm not the one that made that rule. We've said it
Yeah, I
earlier.
did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But like, we have to know, if we know something about the player, we have to apply it, right? I had
haven't
never
been.
even seen the guy run until that game. You know,
Has their
like that's all.
did their squad get better or worse after this transfer window?
If
I
since
think
Paulinho
it got-
stayed,
coming in from,
Yeah, I
Jimenez
think
coming from
Paulinho
Mitrovic.
staying was.
that's what puts
Yeah.
them in a D. I think if they sold Paulinho, it's an F.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But depends on who they
There's
brought.
no one coming
but-
in.
Apparently, they didn't sell him because they didn't have a replacement in ready
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
So we'll see who they bring in form.
All right, the mighty Liverpool. Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, Ryan Gravenberch, Wataru Endo, all incomings. Fabinho out, Jordan Henderson out, Oxlade-Chamberlain out, Naby Keita out, James Milner out, Roberto Firmino out, Fabio Carvalho to Leipzig on a loan. Yeah, what do you have for Liverpool?
It's got to be a high B just for the midfield upgrade. I think they could have done with a forward, but then Luis Diaz coming back. I just think they've made the right moves for what they need, and that to me should be a key factor in how successful you think that specific transfer window was. Because, you know, if you look at what they've done, you know, we've talked about it a lot as well, like how that was their focus area. I still think, like I said, I still think another forward would be good, and I think they'll target that maybe next time, or a centre back. But I know people are kind
Center
of
back. Yeah.
people are talking about
Yeah.
VVD, and there's
They have a
question
better
marks.
window than Arsenal.
No. I think they're high
I don't
C.
think they had a better window than Arsenal.
And I think
Yeah.
they had a good window. I think, yeah, if they could have addressed the center back, that's the only thing they didn't do that could have taken them to B or maybe even A. But I think they're good in the front line. I think they're good in midfield now, especially moving on Henderson and Fabinho for money. Like those are that's good. That's good business at the end of the day. As much as people hate Saudi or whatever, like Saudi saved them big time.
Yeah. So I would say I'd say B behind Arsenal because
Yeah.
of the money they bought in for aging players.
I
Like,
think it
and that allowed them
yeah.
to strengthen the midfield, right? So
For me, it has to be B because it is given what we know happened last season,
Yeah.
and then we all were talking about, wow, they need to replace their midfield. They
Yeah.
did that in spades. Like, I think they've brought in some really good players for those positions. So I think it's a really good
Yeah.
window.
And
Yeah.
I'm sort of judging it against, if you look at the clubs we've got in C at the moment, I think Liverpool had a better window than all of them,
Yeah.
but it's not as good as Aston Villa and Arsenal.
You know
So-
why I said forward? Because I forgot about Gakpo. Why is he so forgettable, Liverpool fans? answer in the chat.
He's
Why
nice.
is Gakpo? I just keep forgetting about him all the time.
He's nice. He's really nice. Yeah. Okay. Maybe with the defender, they would have gone up to A even. But yeah, maybe B is the right spot for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I don't think better than Arsenal. Yeah.
All right. Got him low B right now. Luton Town.
I'm going
Next.
straight off the bat before you say anything here, Hoff.
Yep.
I'm going C because I have no idea what their squad was like before the window, and I have no
That's
idea what
fair.
their squad like is after the window. So I'm
I
going.
mean,
C.
they got some nice
So,
names.
Ross
some United
Barkley doesn't do
players.
it for you.
How about Marvelous Nakamba? Marvelous.
good name.
Kamba,
Tim
Thomas
Krul.
Kaminsky, Tahith Chong.
Albert
good with the
Sambi
C.
Lakonga. What a
good with the
move.
C.
Lakonga.
Maybe their squad did get better. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh.
They didn't.
okay,
They only
did.
lost 2 guys on a free. So it looks like their squad is. They brought in a handful of guys. They only spent 22 million in total. They probably needed to spend more than that, but
Maybe.
I don't.
An AI
Maybe.
supercomputer had Luton finishing I think it was 12th.
Really?
I don't see it myself, but it was somewhere around not far off mid-table that this AI supercomputer had in the preseason predictions. Given the names they've brought in and the fact that I don't know the names, some of the names that have left, like Cultured was pointing out, like, you know, our frame of reference is a little bit skewed for this one. But I still think they brought in solid names. I'd have to go a high C.
I was just thinking, if they've made the squad better, it's a better window than Chelsea and Brentford from the
That's what I mean.
Dad.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
It's got to be a high C. I mean,
Sounds
maybe even.
good.
I don't know that I was as enthralled with Bournemouth's window as you guys, so I'd maybe even go above Bournemouth, but I don't know what you think about that.
I don't hate that.
I can be happy with that.
I think Barkley and Krul are the ones that I really liked out of that. Just because you can count on Tim Krul to probably save you maybe three games a year.
Penalties. 2 or 3 penalties.
He'll definitely save some penalties. But I forget what Ross Barkley played like before he left Chelsea.
Yeah, no idea.
I don't really remember.
I don't think very well.
Yeah.
Talk about forgettable
But
players,
I also don't think who was the manager, like, because he was there. I'm assuming he was there when a manager took over, and that manager didn't then play him because he's had moments of brilliance, right? Where we've like Barkley has had that in his locker, but obviously we're not seeing it for a long time. But obviously I'd like to look back in his history, and I won't do it now because it's going to take too long, but at some point I'll have a look at Barkley's history because he was up and then plateaued and then down.
Yeah.
And I just think his potential was a lot higher than that, and maybe the wrong move at the wrong time. Probably going to Chelsea.
Wrong move at the wrong time.
It probably was, and I don't mean that as a slight to Chelsea. They probably just had better players in his position. So
They went for the money.
And that's I hate that about football, because there are players that could go on to be so much better if they didn't go and sit on a bench. You know, it's frustrating.
Yep.
Okay, big clubs now. Big clubs.
Big clubs. Manchester City.
This one.
Gvardiol, Mateus Nunes, Jeremy Doku, Mateo Kovacic. Those are the big ones incoming. Outgoing, Cole Palmer, who we talked about previously, Riyad Mahrez, Laporte, Benjamin Mendy technically left on a free, Gundogan on a free to Barcelona, and Joao Cancelo on loan to Barcelona. Manchester City.
Yeah, it's
Possibly ahead of Brent.
B plus.
I think they're
It's so hard to find anything wrong with it, but they also have the luxury of having an amazing squad in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I think
That's
it's
true.
easier for them to have a good window than it is for a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
They did sign
I
someone
think
from their
getting-
sister club, by the way, Girona, which is, maybe something spicy going on there.
Getting 47 million for a 21-year-old is always nice.
Yep.
Speaking as a football manager player.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mahrez is 32. I didn't realize he was that old. Laporte kind of surprised me, just because I feel like he's still. I shouldn't say them selling him to Saudi, just because I feel like he's still in his prime. But I guess there are other players that are going there too. Yeah.
And then move back to Europe. I'm happy with A above Brighton.
Yeah.
I think
above. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now we're on to the other Manchester club, Manchester United. Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount, Andre Onana, Sofian Amrabat on loan, Altay Bayindir for 5 million. That's nice. Johnny Evans on a free, Sergio Reguilon on loan from Spurs. Dean Henderson out, Anthony Elanga out, Fred gone, Alex Telles gone, Eric Bailly gone, Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams out on loan. and some Tuanzebe, Phil Jones, David De Gea all left the club as well.
Go on, Cart. What do you think?
If you look at the players we spent money on, Mount, Onana, Højlund, and eventually Amrabat after the loan. Those are 4 good signings, I think. Obviously, jury's out on Mount. I think he will play a good role in replacement for Fred. But if you look at just those 4 and you forget about how these happened, right? How long it took, or how long it didn't take, etc. Those are decent names to bring in. The rest are very low, like Reguilón, Bayendir, Evans, barely nothing. Total for those is 4 million. On the inability to move out Maguire, the inability to move out other players that maybe they didn't want does bring them down quite a bit. But overall, I'd give it like a C at the end of the day. I mean, the Amrabat keeps it at a C for me.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
I think
Cultured?
judging by, like Carter said, the players we've bought in, if we're not taking performances into opinion, I think it's a B- below Liverpool, Arsenal and Villa. Like, I think it's just above a C because I think Mount is this player that Ten Hag wants to replace Fred eventually. Amrabat's good. We needed a backup for Casemiro. We needed a new goalkeeper was talked about and we went and got one. We needed a striker. We went and got one. And then, Johnny Evans, Reguilón and Bayendir are all backup players. They're not going to start. They've been brought in as cover and I think that's good. It's just the lack of outs for relatively good money. I mean, getting rid of Elanga is good. I think Pellistri looks like he can fill in the backup right wing spot when needed, and we've got options across the wings completely. It's the lack of outs. I could see the argument for putting them at C, but I do think the squad has got better with the players that have been brought in. And Man United famously can't sell players for lots of money. So Maguire and McTominay going to West Ham for like a combined 100 million was never going to happen. So, being at the bottom of the B, I think is good for me, but I'd happily move them to C if that's what the consensus is. So
My
first reaction was, again, on paper, a B-, and then I was like, or even a B. And then, maybe a high C. I'd probably put them at the front of C if you're going to put them down there. I think Højlund bumps it up into the B category for me because he is the unknown, probably I would say the most potential to be the most impactful signing. I mean, I know Onana's a keeper and they are impactful as well, obviously. But I think Højlund is a player that a lot of clubs would have quite liked. Whether or not it'll work out, it's too early to tell, but he certainly looks the part, right? So I think the Højlund deal for me bumps it up a notch. So I'd probably put it in the B, but not in front of Liverpool.
No.
Yeah, after I was done reading them, my first instincts were at the end of B. But that's a good justification for B overseas, the Højlund, just the potential. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, some more money being spent at Newcastle United. Sandro Tonali in, Harvey Barnes and Tino Livramento in. Going out, Alan St. Maximin, Chris Wood, Carl Darlow, Ryan Fraser on loan to Southampton. Those are the big ones. Where do you have Newcastle?
When you think about the Gordon was in January, right? I think.
Yeah.
Harvey Barnes, I really like that signing. I like that type of player. But I'll give them because they're only year 2 into their new kind of right. Last summer was their first summer with the Saudi owners, right? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Year 2. I know on paper it doesn't look flashy, but I kind of like that for a new project. How they're not going overboard with the spending right off the bat, type of thing. Even though they did spend quite a bit last summer. But it feels on paper it doesn't look great maybe, but I think for their project, it's a solid B.
I'm leaning towards A. I think it's for Newcastle. I think it's a really good window. I think Tonali coming in is massive for them. I think Harvey Barnes does exactly what Eddie Howe wanted. He said he wanted more creators on the wing, not goal scorers. And Harvey Barnes is an assist machine. He's proven that. I think they've upgraded their squad entirely. They've sold shit players that were never going to play for them and got a bit of money. 20 million for Chris Wood or something. 15 million, something like that for Chris Wood. Like, it's. I think when you take a step back and look at it, I think they've had a really good window. And like,
those are the only
it's
two
not
signings,
flashy,
though. Barnes and Tonali, really, that are going to affect the first team, or not even Barnes, maybe not even the first team, just Tonali.
I think Livramento will step
That's why it feels
right
like
in,
a solid B
whenever
in
Trippier
front.
leaves.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there has to be. It's gone a bit quicker than they thought, right, for the Champions League, and I think there has to be credit for the players that got them to the Champions League. Clearly, are good players. Then they don't all need upgrading. They're playing well as a unit. It's actually this season I think is going to be more crucial for Newcastle than last season. When they're in the Champions League, what's the difference between their squad now and the elite in the Champions League? That's when we'll find out. But I could. Front of B is, I'm happy with that. Milo?
I don't think front of B is correct. I don't know that they've had I don't know that they've had a better window than United. Look, I don't know that I would go C. I really don't. I really like the Tonali signing as well. Okay, I really do, and I think he's cemented himself into Toon Law already. There was a lot of talk that he didn't want to be there, right, when the move first went through and stuff. I mean, it's it does, those kind of moves don't happen very often from Italy, so it's one of those. But I think the disappointment for Newcastle fans, knowing the money behind the club, they didn't, and I'm not saying it's bad that they didn't. I like that they didn't just go and splash the cash, but what contributed to that? Is it do they have a lack of pulling power at the moment, so to speak? Obviously they spent a lot the year before. Isaac missed a good chunk of last season, and we'll be looking to make amends for that this year. Good team, definitely on the up. I think they could have done more. Given their financial resources, I think they could have done more to strengthen. And when you look at the teams around them, the teams they want to compete with, I feel like they needed to do a little bit more, But that's where I'm at. And I don't know that I'd say their window was better than United, to be honest. I think
we're going to have a law of averages here. What are you? What do you? Because I've said A, Cart said top of B, Milo's saying
said
like
B,
bottom of B.
I said B.
Oh, B. Okay.
Just
You
B.
said the solid
I'm not sure where in B.
Do you think they had a better window than Arsenal?
So that's what I was kind of hinting at with the project, right? It's only year 2 of their project, and they're not going crazy about it, right? If they could have gone crazy like Arsenal, I bet they had the buying power to do that. I mean, not that Arsenal went crazy, but just spending a lot on like bigger names. Tonali's a huge name, by the way, but they're not doing multiple signings in multiple positions. They're kind of keeping the same consistency they had last year, or the same kind of squad, it feels like, and just tweaking a couple upgrades here and there, hopefully get into the Champions League easier this season type of thing. So I think you have to think about like the direction the club is going in when kind of judging their transfer activity. I think they lost Saint Maxim, right? You think you mentioned he went to Saudi, right? So that Harvey Barnes coming in, Saint Maxim going out. You could argue that it's not going to really affect their table ranking at the end of the season, but it's kind of a wash almost in a way, right? It's not like Harvey Barnes is like they're upgrading something, they're replacing Saint Maxim, that's why it doesn't feel
that's what I mean. That's why I think bottom of B because of that. But that, somewhere in there, I don't know, half. You might be the deciding.
You might be the swinger.
An executive decision.
Nothing that like.
Harvey Barnes has much better output than St Maximin. like much
Yeah.
better output in terms of assists and goals.
He blew hot and cold quite a lot, didn't he, Samek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it'll be an up. Yeah, I think it'll be a slight upgrade, but like it's not like a huge step. I don't think. Maybe, especially with Anthony Gordon coming in on that same position.
Hoff, come on, have the
Yeah.
deciding.
All right. I've definitely got them in B. I'm just trying to compare them with the clubs we have in B already. I like Tonali. I like that signing a lot. I really like. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I like the Livramento signing. Just getting someone from a relegated club that will eventually, like, he could play right if he doesn't get hurt again. He could play right back for years for them, easily. Whenever Trippier leaves, the outgoings, I don't know how much of an influence St. Maximin was in the locker room. He seemed like he was a good teammate. I always enjoyed watching him, but you get, I would say, consistent production with Barnes instead of like a bunch of goals and assists in a handful of games and then nothing for another handful of games.
Pull the trigger.
All right.
Pull the trigger.
We're deep into extra time now.
I got him here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's up to Hoff on extra time and cultured. I'm chilling. Just saying. Like you get.
Oh, I'm seeing this out.
Okay, I mean, cultured.
Seeing this
I
out,
know.
but we need to up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
Culture's.
Because-
Yeah, it's his middle of his work.
Yeah.
All right. Nottingham Forest. We've got Ibrahim Sangare in, Anthony Alaga in, Chris Wood in, Murillo from Corinthians in, Vlachodimos from Benfica, Matt Turner from Arsenal, Hudson Odoi for 3.5 million, Nuno Tavares on loan, Brennan Johnson out, a couple of guys at MLS, Sam Surridge and Brian Ojeda out, Jack Colback to QPR. Those are the notables for Nottingham Forest.
I think it was a good window for them until they sold Johnson.
Oh, that's right,
I
Brennan
agree.
D
Johnson.
for me. D for me.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, that is harsh. That's a
Above Burnley, below Fulham.
I was gonna just looking at them.
Right
It's like
there.
they're like baby Chelsea's. They're like baby Bowley almost. You know.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
right next to Chelsea. It's so many players in and out, and even last summer in and out. It's just like, what is going
there
on?
is yeah.
It's
C
like-
for me.
Yeah.
It's like
above
a-
Chelsea. That's where I'm putting them.
Yeah, it's like
I
imagine like
forgot
you're like
Divock Origi in on loan too.
you're working at like a I don't know, like a restaurant, and every day you have new employees or coworkers. It's like every single day a new coworkers, everything new cooks, new front service
Yeah.
staff.
It's easy to look at that though from a established Premier League club point of view. When Forest came up, they brought in all these players as an attempt to like try and stay there, and now that didn't really work. Although it did, they stayed there, and now they've tried to upgrade those players. So I'm looking at the squad, the moves they've made. They have upgraded their squad. I think their squad is better than last year. I think that it's a C, and I think it's at least on par with Chelsea's window.
I agree.
Maybe
agree.
just above.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
I've got them at a C. I would say their squad is better. Even though they brought in a ton of guys. Not as much as last season, but yeah, I think that's a good spot for them, just above Chelsea.
Oh, you know what I just realized? In the YouTube clip, the 91st is going to be right on Cultured's face. 91.
Right. No one needs to see my face.
Just saying. Just
All
realized.
right.
See this mug.
Sheffield United. Cameron Archer in. Gustavo Hammer in. That's really it. Sander Berge out, who we talked about before. Billy Sharp to Los Angeles Galaxy on a free transfer. That's it. Not a lot for Sheffield United.
Okay. Luke Thomas on loan, Tom Davies in. Okay. Okay. No clue. I'm gonna go with a solid C. I have no idea. I don't know who they like. Yeah.
I'm going to go with a D just because it's uninspiring.
I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better,
F.
actually.
F above Everton for me. It's not very good.
Yeah,
It's really not. They've lost Sander Berge, who's, like Koff said, coveted central midfielder by lots of different teams, played most games for them in the Championship. Their best signing is Archer, who, if they get relegated, they don't make any profit on because Aston Villa will buy him back. Like,
That makes me feel even better. Putting them in F makes me feel even better at putting Forest in C because, Forest's window is so much better than that.
true.
Given the resources of the teams and
Alrighty.
I mean, at least Burnley went and spent a lot of money on a goalkeeper, right? So Forest could have bought Henderson. They didn't. They went and got someone else. Like Sheffield United, just I don't know. Hamer looks okay, but no, not good for me.
All right, Tottenham Hotspur.
Sorry, I'm kidding.
You said Gesundheit.
I mean, the big signing is Ange Postecoglou, though.
Yeah, that's
Upgrade on Conte. That's a big upgrade.
Player-wise, Brennan Johnson in, James Madison in, Mickey Van de Ven, Pedro Porro, and Kulusevski were made permanent, so technically they joined in the summer window. Vicario from Empoli and Ashley Phillips, the young center back I talked about last week. He's not really relevant. I just want to throw his name in there. Manor Solomon on a free. Outgoing, some guy named Harry went to Leicester. Davinson Sanchez to Galatasaray. Jed Spence on loan. Lucas Moura on a free out. And Ndombele, Region Tanganga, Roden on loan. And Kane to Bayern Munich.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
It's a good window.
It is.
It is a good window.
I think Madison for 40, I think it was 40 million? Because I'm looking at euros. 40 million pounds is, I know we're not judging with the current games, but even that we've needed a creative midfield player since Eriksson left, and we've got one now, and we only spent 40 million on him.
And this is what I think for me makes it key for Spurs, right? You needed a keeper, you got one.
Yeah.
You needed a centre back, you got one. You needed a creative playmaker, you got one. You needed potentially someone to replace Kane. That's probably the only thing you didn't really get.
Yeah.
But Son's now moved up front and got other players coming in.
That looks promising, by the way. Just to mention.
Yeah.
Solid window. Totally solid window. Apart from not getting rid of Lloris and Dyer, that would have made it an A, I think.
And I'll repeat.
Yeah.
I know we're not kind of basing it off this, but the biggest upgrade is the manager. Just huge,
I think you
huge
can
upgrade.
include that.
I mean, it's technically, I guess, it's some sort of. Is it better than City?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is it better than Brighton?
No.
I'm going B above Liverpool.
See, I think for the whole squad, they've had a better window than Arsenal.
I'll go front of B. I think even
Villa
Villa
behind Brighton. Yeah.
Or behind Brighton.
Goes behind Brighton in A. Yeah.
I might go. I'll go behind Brighton.
Okay. I won't disagree.
Let the record show that's not where I put them.
The Brennan Johnson signing is huge. That's
Brennan
huge.
Johnson, that's good.
You
signing.
got good competition on the front line now. Really good competition.
Yeah, and that was.
Look, we've talked about how good it's been for you for the last 4 weeks. It's infuriating.
Does Brennan Johnson play at the 10 as well? Does he
He
also
plays
play?
all across the three behind the striker. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So good competition.
I talked about it with the Chelsea and Pochettino. Like, I didn't know if any of the signings were approved, sanctioned, whatever you want to say, by him. I know, like, Postecoglou was just raving about Brennan Johnson, so I know that's someone that he wanted. And with some of the other names, like, we were linked with Fati as well, and he said he preferred Johnson to Fati. So, that's another, and that just hammers home the manager is probably the best of the bunch as far as new signings go.
And you also just signed a young Croatian kid or something. Center back. I don't
It's
know.
like 16-year-old Croatian center back from.
Oh,
Hajduk
he's 16.
Split.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He won't be joining until he's 18, I guess.
Okay.
That's what they're saying. All right,
Gotcha.
West Ham United. Mohamed
S.
Kudus in.
S. James
Edson
Ward-Prowse,
Alvarez
S.
in. James Ward-Prowse in. Declan Rice out. Skamaka out. Vlasic out. Lanzini out on a free as well.
I think seriously, it's probably not S, but it's a very good window, right? I think I would have liked to have seen Skamaka given more time, but I think Edson Alvarez from Ajax is great. James Ward-Prowse is great. Everything they've strengthened is an upgrade for the whole squad overall. It's just missing that striker. Like how common is that in this tier list?
Yeah,
I don't
signed a
think
striker
they
for this,
upgraded on Rice.
So no, but
Edson
I think the money
Alvarez.
they got for Rice was very good. It's not an
Yeah, for
upgrade.
sure.
It's not
No, it's not an upgrade.
It's like Liverpool, right? They've spent that money and then reinforced midfield with like
Don't
2-3
forget,
players.
Cartwheel hates Declan Rice for some weird reason. I think I know the reason, by the way.
I
It's
don't
'cause
hate
he's
Declan
playing for
Rice.
Arsenal.
I don't hate Declan Rice.
But yeah, they took the 130 mil they made from Rice and Skamaka and then split it pretty well.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Edson Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse for Declan Rice is a pretty good deal.
I think for when you're West Ham, that's a very, very good deal.
Plus 40 million?
West
I think
Ham.
it's a really good deal.
So
Yeah.
it's not better than City. I don't think it's better than City for me. I think it's around Brighton, Spurs-ish, but again, open to
I'd say
discussion.
Bought in
front of
Mavropanos, that brings it down a little bit.
Probably does bring it down a bit. He is not
They
very
paid
good.
19 million for Mavropanos from
He ripped
City.
up in Bundesliga. He was doing very well in the Bundesliga.
They've got
I know,
Antonio
yeah.
Bowen. Who else up front? They've got
Benrahma.
Paqueta, Benrahma.
Paqueta, Benrahma.
Yeah.
I put him front of B.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's me.
I could be happy with that. Yeah.
I don't think it's better than Tottenham. Maybe it's
I
a
like-
relative scale that I should be thinking about, but I don't know.
I think I was surprised Ward-Prowse went there, honestly.
Yeah, huge.
I'm surprised
And
someone better didn't go.
that just speaks
Yeah.
to the strength of the window.
But
yeah,
yeah, Liverpool written all over
I
him.
would agree with a high B.
Yeah, high B. It's a
All
good
right.
win. It's a good win.
And
Yep.
club. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The final. we have one. Are we on the last one?
Yep.
Final
Club
one,
number
yeah.
20. Wolves. We have Mateus
boy.
Cunha solidified his loan, finalized his loan, not solidified. Jean Rickner Bellegarde from Strasbourg, Santiago Bueno from Girona, Boubacar Traore from Metz, Enzo Gonzalez from Libertad, Matt Doherty on a free. Okay. And Mateus Nunez, Ruben Neves, both gone. Connor Cody, gone. Raul Jimenez, gone. Daniel Podence on loan out. João Moutinho, gone. Adama Traore, gone. Lots of outgoings. Guedes and Diego Costa, both gone. Yeah, I don't have this one very high.
No, off the
Lopetegui
bat,
gone at the
their
last
squad
minute.
looks A lot weaker.
Yeah, Lopetegui gone.
Yeah,
The last minute.
maybe bottom of D. I'm not sure. Is that harsh? I'm not sure.
That's
It's-
fine with
I
me.
don't
I mean,
think
they made a
it
lot of
is.
money. I think they made money on
Yeah.
the net spend. So, but they,
They made about 75 million euros.
yeah.
The squad just seems a lot weaker on paper, right? It seems
Yeah.
a lot weaker. So
Yeah, that's
Neves
fair.
is a huge loss.
I think.
Yeah.
that's fine. So no
That's fair.
S tier, guys. We have to give it to City. They're the top.
I mean, City
They are.
goes to S, right? Yeah.
There you
Yep.
go. Damn, that's pain. That's not that. I mean, it's not that. It's understandable. I feel
Save
nothing.
it and save it and see at the end of the season
Uh-oh.
how
Oh yeah, go ahead.
the team panned out. You know,
We can rejig it in January after the transfer window in January.
There you
We
go.
could.
In the February international break.
good idea.
If you enjoyed the content, please do subscribe to the 91st Minute here on YouTube and use the links in the descriptions to follow us on all social media platforms.